Good morning, students. So today we'll continue with motivation. So what is motivation? Before we go into that meaning, let us understand the meaning of motive. What is a motive? It can be any idea, need, or emotion that prompts an individual into any kind of an action. This is called motive. A motive is nothing but a need or an emotion. So when we are discussing about motive, we can also extend the definition to motivation. So what is motivation? It is a drive in an individual which creates an enthusiasm which directs his action. So such drive can be internal or external to the individual. And motives are needs that energize people to action, whereas motivation is represented by the actual behavior. So a motive can be only some kind of an energy which will try to push an individual, whereas motivation is the actual behavior which arises out of the motive. So motivation refers to the forces within a person that affect his or her direction, intensity, and persistence of voluntary behavior. This is the definition of motivation. So when we see the relationship between these three concepts, that is motive, motivating, and motivation, motive is the need of an individual, whereas motivating is the process. And motivation is the engagement of individuals in the work behavior. So what is the nature of motivation? It is an internal feeling. It especially refers to the forces which are internal. It leads to goal-directed behavior. It is complex. It is very difficult because getting motivated is very, very difficult. And it can be a positive motivation, that is getting some kind of a reward, or it can be a negative motivation, which results into punishment. And motivation and satisfaction both are related, but they are not synonyms. Motivation is the drive to satisfy a want or a goal. Satisfaction is nothing but it is the contentment experiences when a want is satisfied. And motivation is a continuous process. Human needs are unlimited, and as and when one need is satisfied, motivation does not end. Another need emerges, and that will propel the individual to work, and that work will be pushed by a motive. Motivating factors will be there that results into motivation. Why motivation is important? It helps in doing things in a better way. Moreover, it is productive, quality oriented, and goal achievement. Motivation always leads to achieving the goal, the targeted goal, whatever has been placed. And it also results into behavior change. So we generally say that change is the only constant. Okay, we find change is routine. Every alternate day, we find some kind of changes. So this change is directed towards motivation. Now, the process of motivation, it starts with a need or a want. The moment an individual wants to satisfy this need or a want, that results in the behavior change. And the behavior change will result into rewards. Now, as I already said, reward can be positive or negative. So if the want is satisfied, that will result into a reward. And the reward will motivate the person to accept another task. So it is a continuous process. Now, positive or negative motivation, as I already said, positive is getting a reward and negative motivation is always considered as carrot and stick approach. So it is a traditional motivation theory and that asserts that motivating people for desired behaviors, sometimes the rewards are given in the form of money, promotion, or any other financial or non-financial benefits. And sometimes the punishments are external, I mean, they are exerted to push an individual towards the desired behavior. So this is the carrot and stick approach. And the extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic refers to something which is external and intrinsic is something which is internal. Now, coming to the next subheading, techniques or methods of motivation. So here we have financial or non-financial incentives. Financial incentives where you get the monetary rewards, maybe a payment, an increment, a salary, or anything which is in terms of money. And non-financial can be a position, or it can be uh, a name associated with some kind of a post, okay? Or it can be a separate cabin where you are placed there and you have the authority to dictate terms. So it need not be always relating to finance. Non-financial motivation will also boost an individual to perform better and get the rewards. So what can be the other techniques of motivation? There are various theories which have been presented under motivation. So we'll just see the theories of motivation. We have the content theories of motivation. So what are these content theories? These theories explain why human needs change with time. And the famous theories under content theories are Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy theory, Frederick Herzberg's two-factor theory, David Maxeland's achievement theory, and Douglas McGregor's theory X and theory Y. And we also have ERG theory. Now, coming to the contemporary theories of motivation, we have the psychological and behavioral processes that motivate a person to act in a particular way. And these are referred to as process theories of motivation, which are basically by Stacey Adams' equity theory, Victor Vroom's expectancy theory, Porter Law's performance satisfaction model, Wiener's attribution theory, and then we have goal setting theory and the Skinner's reinforcement theory. And we also have theory X and theory Y. These are proposed by McGregor. And he has identified the humans beings into two distinct views. One basically negative, labeled as theory X, and the other is labeled positive, called as theory Y. So what is theory X? The average person inherently dislikes work and will avoid it if possible. So that is the first assumption of theory X. So he dislikes the job and he will try to avoid it. And since employees dislike work, they must be coerced, controlled, threatened, punished to get the work from them. Okay, you need to exert some kind of a force on an individual to make them work. And the average person is self-centered and indifferent to organizational goals. Self-centered, always the person would like to achieve his own targets rather than achieving the organizational goals. And he lacks ambitions, dislikes responsibilities, and prefers to be directed. I mean, he wants everything step by step to be directed, wherein he wants to perform only by the instructions. And there's a lot of resistance to change. He doesn't want to change, and he wants the security above all. And when we are talking about theory Y, work is natural. As rest or play, people will exercise self-direction and self-control. They are committed to achieve the objectives of the organization and get a better rewards. And the average person learns under proper conditions not only to accept but to seek responsibility. So when we are talking about theory X and theory Y, theory X assumes that lower order needs, that is the physiological needs, dominate individuals. And theory X suggests that management by direction and control involving the external control over the people will make people work. Whereas theory Y assumes that the higher order needs, that is the self-actualization need, are dominant needs of an individual, and they suggest self-direction and self-control for satisfying higher order needs. Okay, so here we have the content theories. So the first one under the content theory is Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So what is a need hierarchy theory? As you have seen in the figure here, it is like a pyramid. So the man's needs starts from lower order needs to higher order needs. So what are they needs? What are those needs? Physiological needs, safety needs. It can be the belongingness needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. So the safety needs and the physiological needs are considered as the basic needs. Esteem needs and the belongingness or the love needs come under psychological needs, and the highest will be the self-fulfillment needs. So physiological needs are the basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. And safety needs are those needs which a person would like to spend after meeting the basic needs. He would like to spend some amount, some money on the safety needs. So it can be insurance, it can be pension against risk, or, no, or it can be a security, a source of income. And what do you mean by social needs? Social needs are something which are which come under sociability, where you want to be sociable, where you want to show your uh, love and affection towards the family. You want the recognition, affection, acceptance by others. And then you have the esteem and status needs, wherein you want to attain the self respect or autonomy or self confidence, independence, achievement, competence, knowledge. All these come under esteem and status needs. And self actualization or self fulfillment needs are the final step. And under this, the need priority model is you fulfill. I mean, you feel the rest of the needs are nothing. Once you reach that particular stage where you're capable of becoming, which includes growth or achieving one's potential or self fulfillment, something which is predominant at that level, you don't feel like the lower order needs are, I mean, you have attained everything. Now you are into the final stage. Okay, so Maslow's need hierarchy theory has received wide recognition and it is accepted everywhere, though it has certain limitations. That is, the hierarchy says that from the lower order, the man will try to attain the higher order. But sometimes a man need not attain the lower order. That is, the physiological needs are not that important to him. So esteem needs are more important. So he might not follow a hierarchy whenever the need hierarchy theory is proposed. Now, coming to the Frederick Herzberg's two-factor theory of motivation. Now, he has developed this theory by interviewing approximately 200 engineers and accountants from 11 industries in Pittsburgh area. And based on those outcomes, he has categorized the factors, the motivator factors and hygiene factors. So maintenance or hygiene factors are those factors which come under policy administration, supervision, working conditions, interpersonal relations, money, status, and security, and personal life. And motivational factors are achievement, recognition, advancement, challenging work, increased responsibility, so on and so forth. So Herzberg also said that today's motivators are tomorrow's hygiene factors, and they stop influencing the behavior of persons when they get them. So basically, when you see the Maslow's need hierarchy theory or Herzberg's theory, there are a lot of similarities, like how Maslow has defined the physiological needs. Here he has defined them as high, that is the maintenance of hygiene factors. And then the higher order needs, the esteem needs, and the self-actualization needs, he said as motivation factors. So there are a lot many similarities between motivation theory and Herzberg's two-factor theory. And ERG theory, what is this ERG theory? This is an extension of Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So in Maslow's need hierarchy theory, there are five needs and they are categorized into three categories: existence needs, related needs, and growth needs. So these are the three needs what are categorized under ERG. That is, E stands for existence, R for relatedness, and G stands for growth needs. So existent needs are the basic needs, the physiological needs, the safety needs. Related needs are those which you try to show the love and affection or the interpersonal relationships. And the growth needs are again self-actualization. So there is a lot of similarity between sorry, Maslow's need hierarchy theory and ERG theory. Now, coming to the Maxwell's theory of motivation. Now, he has defined, gave a model, in a model based on three types of needs, that is the achievement needs, power, and affiliation. Need for achievement, need for power, and need for affiliation. So, what is need for achievement? It is a drive to excel. It is something which pushes you to advance and grow. Whereas the need for power is to influence others with your power and dominance and tackle or handle the situations. And need for affiliation is a drive for friendly and close interpersonal relationships. So, this achievement is the drive where people who are dominated by this need are called achievement oriented or the achievers. And these people differentiate themselves from others by their desire to think, to do things better. And power, people who are dominated by this motivation want to have impact, to be influential, to control others, and they want to be in charge, they want to take care as an authority. And whereas the affiliation is the need for affiliation is they want to be liked and accepted by others. They want to be achieving that the social needs where they want to be friendly, they want to be cooperative. I mean, they want to gain the importance in the uh, organization. Now, coming to the criticism of the content theories is there is universality and there is a research which supports the methodological biases. And there are not many assumptions what you have to make when you are defining this particular theory. So the theory tends to assume that workplaces are the places and only places where there are needs for growth, for the personal development, and other factors. And they generally ignore the importance of other aspects of the lives, which more or less have impact on our lives. Now, the process theories of motivation, we have Stacey Adams' equity theory. This will try to analyze employee motivation in terms of equality and fairness. So, equity theory of motivation, which was introduced in the year 1963 by John Stacey Adams, a workplace behavioral psychologist. So, this theory is based on a simple idea. A successful workplace can enhance team motivation by treating everyone with respect and dignity. So, according to Adams' theory, the theory of motivation will try to identify a situation of inequality, and this will try to identify the situation between them and their peer. And if an employee knows that their colleague is getting a higher salary, then for the same amount of work, this might create dissatisfaction. So this is the equality what we are talking about. So higher the level of equity, that is the fairness amongst the employees, higher the level of motivation. So if an A and B are doing similar kind of work and A is paid less and B is paid more, it is a situation of inequality. So here, this theory shows that there are inputs which include rich and diverse elements that employees believe. Then we also have outcomes. Outcomes are the rewards, what they perceive they get from their jobs, and over rewarded. So if employees fell over rewarded equity theory, they will feel an imbalance. Equity, if employees perceive equity, they are motivated. And unrewarded, who feel they have been unrewarded and seek to reduce their feelings inequity through the same types of strategies. So here we have inputs, we have outcomes, we have relational partners outcomes and relational partners inputs. So this is what the equation refers for the equity theory. Now, expectancy theory, it argues that the strength of a tendency to act in a certain way depends upon the strength of an expectation that the act will be followed by a given outcome. Okay, so you feel that if you are putting your 100% effort and what is the expectation that the outcome will be followed with some kind of a reward. That is what the expectancy theory says. So it is one of the most complete theories for detailing not only how people feel, behave, but also why they react as they do. And it is a cognitive model. It is based on conscious thoughts about the situations, and it is a predictive theory of motivation, and it is based on self-interest, and the expectancy model is a choice based on the model for the individual who chooses to behave according to the expectancy theory. So the key variables of expectancy are valence. That is, these are the reward preferences. It refers to the strength of an individual's preference for receiving a reward. And there is an expectancy, which is effort, performance, probability. How much is the effort? How much is the performance? And what is the probable expectancy? And we have the instrumentality, that is the performance, reward, probability. It refers to the probability to which the performance will lead to the desired reward. Desired reward. So then we have portal oral performance satisfaction model. An employee must want to perform and one must be motivated. Motivation alone will not ensure that task performance. And finally, a person must usually have an accurate knowledge of the requirements of the job if he is expected to devote his energies. So what are the key variables? There is an effort, what an individual is putting towards a task. There is performance, where the observed level of motivation towards an effort. Reward, it can be extrinsic or it can be perceived equitable reward. And then finally, you have the satisfaction towards the achievement. And then we have the attribution theory. What is attribution? The desire to understand the origins of behaviors keeps learners interested in the learning environment. Learners usually use the three aspects, that is the internal or external, stable or unstable, controlled or uncontrolled, to describe their reason of success or a failure. So Wiener examined people's feelings and assessments of others in the area of accomplishments. And then he has given the following, that is the locus of causality. So the locus of causality is developed a better multidimensional approach to the structure of perceived causality. Now, causality is the causal dimensions. And then we have the stability. So it can range from stable, permanent, to unstable, that is the temporary. And then we have the controllability. It describes the degree of influence that can be applied to a cause. And based on that, the attribution theory was explained. And we have the goal setting theory. The goal setting theory is basically depends upon the goals, which are specific and challenging. The goals should be realistic and there should be a feedback that directs their behavior, employees' behavior. And employee participation in goal setting theory, it will facilitate to accept an increased involvement. So the result of goal setting theory has anticipated that there is self-efficacy. This concerns the employee's self-confidence to perform a task. And then we have the goal commitment. This assumes that individual will become committed to the goal and be reluctant to leave it. And reinforcement three, reinforcement is repetition. So this has been developed by Skinner. The manager uses the following methods for controlling the behavior of the employees. Either it can be the positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. So what is positive? This implies giving a positive response when an individual shows positive and required behavior. So this can be, for example, praising an employee for coming early for the job, and this should be immediate. So today the employee has come early. After 10 days, you cannot say that very good, you have come early on, say March 8th. It should not be that far. Immediately, you have to praise for the reinforcement. And negative is something uh, rewarding an employee by removing negative, undesirable consequences. So either this positive or negative reinforcement can be used for the motivation of the employees. Now, what is punishment? It employs removing positive consequences so as to lower the probability of repeating the undesirable behavior. And then there is also an extinction. So extinction is the absence of reinforcement. In other words, lowering the probability of undesired behavior by removing reward for that kind of behavior. So if an employee does not receive praises or administration or admiration for his work, he may feel that his behavior is generating no fruitful consequences, and he will try to lower that positive behavior. So this is what has been explained in the reinforcement theory. Coming to the next subheading, controlling and coordination. So what is controlling? Management control is an approach that enables a company to produce desired results. So what are these desired results? Nothing but the performance which results in achieving the task which have been specified by the organization. So through control, you try to achieve the targeted results what an organization has set. So control is a primary goal-oriented function of management in an organization, and it is a process of comparing the actual performance with the set of standards of the company. So what can be the characteristics of control? It is a managerial process. It is forward-looking, and it exists at each level of the organization. And moreover, it is a continuous process. You cannot have control for one period and you don't have control. And control is closely linked with the planning, and it leads to always goal-oriented or positive outcome. Now, what is control process? The first and foremost is establish standards. The process of control starts with the establishment of a standard of performance, and it can be tangible standards or intangible standards. So the tangible standards can be expressed in terms of numbers, quantifiable standards, monetary standards, time standards, or financial standards. Okay, in whatever way the organization wants, they can express them. And coming to the measurement of actual performance. So this is the second step in controlling process, where you try to measure the actual performance achieved with that planned performance. And whenever there is a comparison, you compare actual performance with the standards, and you find that there is deficiency or any deviation, that is, your actual is less than the standard, then you have to identify the cause for such deviation. And you need to take, now just understanding the deviation will not help you in getting the results. So what you have to do, you have to take the remedial or corrective action. And that corrective action, there should be a feedback. Now, why controlling is important? It guides the management in achieving the predetermined goals, and it will try to help the organization in the management or utilization of the scarce resources, which are scarce, which are expensive, which are very valuable in an appropriate manner. And it will also facilitate in coordination. So control will help in coordinating the activities through unity of action, and every manager will try to coordinate the activities of his subordinates in order to achieve the departmental goals. And this will lead to delegation and decentralization of authority. So there you can find a follow-up action, which is also facilitated, and spare stop management in identifying the day-to-day emergencies. They can focus on the policy making or the top-level decision making, and it will also improve the employee motivation. Now, when we are talking about planning and controlling, these are the two separate functions of the management. And planning precedes controlling, and controlling succeeds planning. Okay, you plan before you control, and you control to achieve success in planning. Okay, and planning will results into some kind of a corrective action. What are the advantages and limitations? The first and foremost, the advantage can be the execution. You can efficiently execute the task, and it will also help in delegation. You can delegate the work, and it will also help in the decentralization. So instead of going with the centralized controlling system, you can decentralize, make different set of bits or parts wherein each individual can be given the authority and verify whether the control is being implemented in that particular team or not. And then it will also help in the coordination between supervisors, superiors, subordinates, top management. See, whenever we are talking about a task or performance or goal achievement, there should be proper coordination right from the top level to the bottom level. So controlling will try to help in assisting coordination amongst all these levels. And also, it will simplify the supervision. The more control you have, I mean, you give the power to supervisor, and the supervisor will have 5 or 6 members. He can actively control the members and see that the performance is positive. And what can be their difficulties? It is very difficult to have quantitative standards. Everything cannot be measured, like job satisfaction, employee morale, motivation, human behavior, stress. All these are qualitative terms. So these qualitative terms cannot be quantified, and you don't have any control over the external factors. So, what are external factors and what are internal factors? Internal are within the organization, external are outside. So, government policies, it can be, or it can be the environment changes, competition, technology, or the taste and preferences of consumers. All these things an organization cannot predict or control. And then you have the resistance. The most important thing is resistance from employees. And moreover, the controlling involves lot of expenditure. It is a costly affair. What can be the managerial control? What are the types of control when we are talking from the manager's perspective? So we have feed-forward controls, and these are also called as preliminary or preventive controls. And these attempt to identify and prevent the deviations in the standards, whatever have been set. So feed forward controls focus on humans, materials, or the financial resources, whatever are there in the organization. And whenever you apply these controls, you can observe these controls in the selection and hiring and training of the employees. And the next one can be the concurrent controls. And these monitor ongoing employee activity. And this will try to ensure consistency or maintenance of the quality standards. And you also have the feedback controls, which will try to involve in reviewing the information, whether the performance is meeting the established standards or not. And as per the frequency, also there are different types of control. It can be constant control. These controls are continuous. Constant controls are continuous. And it can be the self-control. I mean, what is self-control? If there is no monitoring authority, if there is no one who is monitoring the employees, are they working in the same manner, or they want someone to observe constantly, monitor constantly whether the person is working or not? So, absence of monitoring also, you should have the self-control and perform in the manner expected. Clan control. This refers to a form of group control, and it is essentially we are talking about the human resources. And we have the standing plans. These are the policies and the procedures and the rules which are developed by the organization. And these will definitely try to influence the individual's behavior in the organization. And then you have periodic controls. So, what are these periodic controls? Where you try to have regular meetings. So regular meetings, it can be once in a week or once in a month or twice in a week. So with this regular meetings, you can have control like what has been assigned, what has been achieved, and what is pending. And then you can also have budgets, okay, and you can also have audits wherein you try to have the periodical meetings either in the budgets or in the audits, which will try to help the organization verify what is actually happening and what has been already predefined. Then you have occasional controls. So occasional controls are sporadic basis controls. So whenever there is a need, there is a control. So this can be through observation, or this can be either through principle, or it can be due to the reports. Any reports which have been submitted by the subordinates will generally specify that something is lacking. And immediately you start controlling. That is occasional controls. And when we are talking about the managerial controls, we have the traditional controls. In the traditional controls, we have personal observation where somebody is being observed based on the first-hand information, or it can be based on the statistical report, which will try to give the statistical information of the performance of the employees, or it can be the break-even analysis. This is a technique used by the manager wherein they try to study the relationship between the cost, volume, and profits. So that is the break-even analysis. And you know the break-even point, it is a point where you don't have neither the profits nor the losses. So through that also, by identifying the no profit, no loss zone of the sales volume, you try to identify the break-even point and apply the control. And it can be the budgetary controls. Budgetary controls, you have already pre-budgeted, you have given something, some amount has been put as a standard, and then you start functioning. And by functioning, you observe that your cost has increased than the budgeted amount, then immediately you need to take a corrective action. And the modern techniques are the ratio analysis. You have the liquidity ratios, the solvency ratios, the profitability ratios, or the turnover ratios, which will try to help you at every level by giving the yardstick. Like, for example, the current ratio is there. The rule of thumb is 2 is to 1. If it is quick ratio, the rule of thumb is 1 is to 1. What is this 2 is to 1 and 1 is to 1? So if your current assets are 2, your current liability should be 1. Okay. And what is the current ratio? It will try to differentiate between the current assets and current liabilities. And when we are talking the difference, it is the working capital which is required for the performance of the organization. So these are the yardsticks, the rule of thumbs, which will try to tell you that this is the rule of thumb and the organization has to maintain that. And then you have ROI, that is the return on investment, which will try to measure the performance of an investment. You have responsibility accounting, the overall involvement of different sections or the divisions or the departments of an organization is established as a responsibility center, and then you try to verify the involvement of these sections. And then you have the management audit. It is a systematic appraisal system which will control overall managerial performance. And then we have PERT and CPM. CPM is the critical path method, and PERT is programmed evaluation and review technique. So you try to evaluate and review and try to follow a corrective action. So these two will also help in the performance evaluation. And the last one being the management information system. It is a computer-based controlling technique, which will try to provide the timely data and the information to the managers for the corrective actions. So what are the requirements of effective control system? You need to focus on the objectives and the needs, and timely actions or timely warnings are very, very important. And whatever the corrective actions are being taken, those should be uh, pointing towards the deviations rather than correcting the entire system. Wherever the deviations are there, if you're able to identify those deviations and apply the corrective actions, that will really result into a proper control. And moreover, you have to focus on the functions and factors. That is, what are the functions like production function, marketing function, finance, human resources, and you have to focus on the four factors, that is the quality, quantity, timely use, and cost. So if you are focusing on these two, definitely the controlling process would be very, very easy. And you need to also concentrate on strategic points control, because these strategic points are timely framed by the top management. So you need to give due course importance to these strategic points as well. Now, coming to the coordination, what is coordination? Coordination is it is an orderly arrangement of individuals and group efforts to provide unity of action. So people come together, coordinate with each other, and achieve the targeted goal, which will try to fetch the results of positivity, that is the achievement of the task. That is what the coordination relies on. It is a process to establish harmony among the different activities of an organization. That is the basic definition of coordination. So it will try to integrate the group effort, and instead of the groups working in a different manner, all the groups are integrated, resulting into unity of an action. And coordination, again, just like control, it is a continuous process, and it will try to give the desired results provided each one of them strive to have one goal. I mean, unity of goal. Then only the coordination is possible. So what can be the objectives? You have the harmony of goals. There is no conflict. There's no danger. There is no different set of goals in different set of people's mind. Then the coordination can be achieved. So that is the harmony of goals, total accomplishment. The other objective is it has to have the synergy effect. What is the synergy effect? You have to accomplish all the goals what have been targeted. So that will result into the synergy effect. And economy and efficacy, yes, whatever the coordination is there, that should be not a burden to the organization. You cannot expect coordination with some kind of an expenditure. So there should be a economy and efficiency, and there should be good social relations. So why coordination is important? To achieve the benefits of the specialization. What is specialization? Division of work, division of labor. So coordination will try to achieve specialization, and it will also help the effectiveness of managerial process. It makes the management processes like planning, organizing, directing, and controlling more effective. And it will also lead to total accomplishment of the task. And the reconciliation of the differences is also possible whenever there are difference of opinions or difference of performance. Those can be reconciled immediately. And it will also increase the morale, and it will facilitate change. Yeah, so change is the only constant. So you can have changes in the organization. They can be well implemented whenever you have well coordinated organization. So, what can be the advantages? Yeah, better decision making. You can have better communication, dynamizes the work. It is not static, but it is dynamic. It will increase the productivity, flexibility, and it will also give a room for the innovation. So, if the objectives are not properly defined, the same plus points will become negative. So they can be the limitations. Whenever there is improper specialization, that is the division of work, and there is no proper structure of the organization, the line of authority has not been defined properly, whom to report, where to report, who are the subordinates who are under the person, who are the superiors. If there is no definition, clear-cut demarcation, that will definitely result into a confusion. So the next one being the principles of coordination. You have the principle of early start. So what does this principle say? Coordination must start at an early stage in the management process. So the sooner it starts, the more better the coordination. And the principle of continuity says that the coordination must be a continuous process. It cannot be a one-time activity. Continuously, the directing, the planning, the organizing, the controlling should be done. And the principle of direct contact says that all the managers must have a direct contact with their subordinates. And you also have the reciprocal relations. That is, all the managers and the employees should have interrelated relations. Okay, so reciprocal. I do something, that affects you, you do something that affects me. Okay, so that is the principle what is observed. And then you have principle of effective communication. So what is this principle of effective communication? Says that the good communication must be present between the departments, between the employees, between the managers, subordinates, superiors. So whenever you have effective communication, that will not lead to any differences. And there should be mutual respect for each other, and there should be due respect for each of the people who are there, and clarity of the objectives is compulsory. So what kind of forms of coordination you can have? You can have vertical coordination. Vertical coordination is based on hierarchical structure or centralized or decentralized authority, or it can be the division of power, or it can be the division of operational and functional positions. In these situations, you have the vertical coordination. And horizontal coordination is between at the same level. There's no hierarchy, but uh, uh, the different departments who are there on the same zone or on the same platform will have the coordination. And generally, this coordination will try to promote the buffer resources or information system or horizontal relations such as cooperation, or it can be the manager's coordination or coordinating in the decision making. So those kind of coordination can be observed under horizontal. So, what can be the symptoms of lack of coordination whenever there is a delay in the performance of the work? Duplication of the work is happening and the data is lost. There is no storage of the data and inflexibility. So, when there is no coordination, that will be resulting into inflexibility. And if these things are happening, it is an indicator saying that there is no proper coordination between the within the organization. And coordination is the essence of management. Why do we say that? Because we have planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, motivating, leading. Okay, so communicating. All these are the management principles which are coordinated. Not a single principle can be isolated and performed on a single basis, but these can be coordinated. And planning and coordination, organizing and coordination, staffing and coordination. So everywhere you need to have the coordination. That is why we call coordination as the essence of management. And coming to the next block, we have finished uh, three blocks. Coming to the fourth block, we have organizational behavior, individual and group behavior. We have one and two, and we also have the conflict management. Now, what is organizational behavior? So when I'm saying organization, whom am I referring? I'm referring people, because it is very difficult for us to imagine an organization without people. So it can be the top level management or the middle level management or the lower level management. They are people who are working, and these people will be form of an organization. And these people will come with different set of behaviors, personalities, psychologies, emotions. So when I'm talking about the organization, so I'm talking about the organization as people and people with different behaviors. So understanding these behaviors is very, very important to run an organization. That is what is dealt in organizational behavior. So when we talk about the simple concept, the field of study which deals with the behavior of people in organizations is called as organizational behavior. So this is a study of how individuals or groups and organizations interact and influence one another. Organizational behavior is concerned with the understanding, prediction, and control of human behavior in organizations. So it can be defined. Organizational behavior is the study and the application of knowledge about how people as individual and as group act within the organization. In 1776, Adam Smith advocated a new form of organizational structure, which is based on the division of labor. So 100 years later, the German sociologist Max Weber introduced the concept about the rational organization, and he initiated the concept of charismatic, charismatic leadership. So, though the origin to the study of organizational behavior, when we trace to the roots back to Max Weber or the earlier organizational studies, it is generally considered that it has begun as an academic discipline with the advent of scientific management, and this has happened in the year 1890. So, Taylorism. What is Taylorism? We have Taylor, Frederick Winslow Taylor, who has actually introduced the systematic use of goal setting and rewards to motivate employees, and that would be considered as the starting point of the academic discipline of organizational behavior. So there are numerous scientists who have contributed to the concept of organizational behavior. We also have Elton Mayo. Elton Mayo, we have discussed in the Hawthorne experiments, and he's a Harvard professor. And somewhere in 1960s and 70s also, we have the psychologists or the people who have actually contributed saying that why the study of organizational behavior is very, very important. And when we are talking about OB, organizational behavior, it is a part of general management. And it's not the whole management what we are talking. Behavior of organizational behavior only forms a small part in the entire concept of the management. And it generally consists of the theory, the research, and the applications which are associated with people or people who are working at the workplace. So it is understanding human behavior in work organizations. That is the major focus of OB. And OB is a human tool for human benefits. It involves three levels of analysis of behavior. Now, what kind of behavior? When I'm saying people can be identified through individual behavior, group behavior, and the behavior of the organization itself. And OB is always action oriented and goal directed discipline. So it provides rational thinking about people and their behavior in different situations. And moreover, OB seeks to fulfill both employees' needs as well as the organizational objectives. When we are talking about the nature of the organizational behavior, there's a separate field of study and not a discipline only. So a discipline is an accepted science that is based on a theoretical foundation. So here we are talking about OB as a field, and it is an interdisciplinary approach. It is essentially an interdisciplinary approach to study the human behavior at work, which integrates the different disciplines like psychology, sociology, anthropology. Okay, so there are many disciplines which can be integrated with the organizational behavior, and it is an applied science. We are not talking about the theory, we are talking about the application of the behavior, and it is a normative science. So it tries to discuss generally the positive science. When we are discussing, it will try to discuss the cause and effect relationship. And OB will try to prescribe how the findings of the applied research can be applied socially in the organization to achieve the organizational goals. And it is a humanistic approach, optimistic approach, because it will deal with people, and it is a total system approach. Now, the scope, as I said, it deals with individual behavior, group behavior, and organizational structure. So, when I'm saying organizational structure, it includes climate, culture, change, effectiveness, and organizational development. So, the key element in OB can be people. So, people make up the internal social system of the organization, and then we have the structure, which defines the formal relationships of the people in the organization. And then we have the technology, which provides the resources with which people can work, and then the environment. So all these operate in the environment, external environment. So that is what OB deals with. Now, coming to the foundations of the organizational behavior, we have the nature of the people, the nature of the organization. Now, when I'm talking about the nature of the people, people come with individual differences. Uh, I mean, each individual is different from other individual. It can be either uh, uh, how they deal with others. It can be the levels of intelligence. It can be the physique. It can be the personality. It can be the traits, the characteristics based upon which we try to differentiate people. And whole person, when an individual is hired, you're not hiring the person, the skill, but you're also hiring his social background, his likes, dislikes, pride, prejudices, the family background, everything has been hired by the organization. It is not the person who is coming only with the skill. When he is coming to the organization, he will bring all these emotions to the organization. And motivated behavior. So, from psychology, we learn that normal behavior has certain causes, and those causes can be pushed or pulled. I mean, something which energizes a person to behave in a particular manner is the motivated behavior. And human dignity is more an ethical philosophy uh, which will be followed by the people. And when I'm talking about the nature of the organization, organizations are social systems. So where they are governed by social as well as the psychological laws. Okay, what are the two types of social systems? You have a formal system and an informal system, and mutuality of interest. So organizations need people and people need organizations. So it is mutual of interest. And what can be the result? It is the holistic organizational behavior. And there is a need for management in an organization because management is the attainment of the organizational goals in an effective and efficient manner. So, organizational design, I'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow.